we sort of forgot that Greece is still an area of problem, and so this vote went through, and basically those parties that had supported the bailout, had supported these austerity measures, were, they didn't get the majority of the vote that was needed. And
Nobody got a majority.
Nobody got a majority, and you also saw sort of really an upsurge in votes on the far left and on the far right. And what this seems to be telling us, and also what you see in France, is that austerity is being rejected by Europeans. When they have the chance to actually vote, they're saying these austerity measures that you're putting through, these really cutting of benefits, the really changing of sort of the social fabric in Europe, is being rejected. And then you have someone like the new president of France, Francois Hollande, saying that we're going to increase taxes, we're going to soften some of these austerity measures, we're going to, not have as big of spending cuts. This is very different than what we've had for the past couple of years. And will that be successful in bringing down these long-term deficits? This is sort of the big question here. But this is really the first chance that the actual people have had a chance to vote on these austerity measures. And it's also a bit of a lesson here for the U.S. because this may be saying that if you go too far on austerity, people may, when they really feel it, reject it at a certain point.
But what does this mean for the deal with the Eurozone? Some of the parties that gained seats in this recent election want to reopen the deal.
That could be the problem. I mean, the part of the deal that was worked out with the IMF and the European Union for Greece was predicated on them taking some measures that would, cut their deficit. And if they don't take that, they won't get some of this money, which is necessary for them to simply pay their bills, to pay salaries for government employees. So this will be the question going forward, which is, do they, reverse course, or do they keep going forward on the plan that was laid out before them? They need this money from other organizations, the IMF, the EU. Make too big of changes, they may lose that money, and then what happens to Greece? This worry that we have that Greece would leave the euro, is this the first step that we see of that happening?
All right, well, Callie, then let's talk about politics here in the United States, since Obama is clearly really in campaign mode. He held rallies over the weekend. What are we seeing from Obama, the candidate?
That he intends to fight, and he intends to go after Mitt Romney, which was not the way that he campaigned in 2008. He really tried to sort of rise above the personal fray, if you will, and go at policies. And I think there will be some discussion about the policy differences, because there are very stark and clear differences between the two of them in terms of where they land on policy. So there's plenty of room for that. But we saw a little bit of a different posture from him. And if the new poll today, if you follow polls with Romney up 1 point, means anything, it means that there's going to be an intensity around this campaign, such the likes of which we haven't seen even in the primary season.
Well, Charlie, let's talk real quickly about Facebook. I want to play you a comment from Mark Zuckerberg, because a lot of people, for a while now, people have been wondering if Facebook is worth the value that they put on it. And here's Mark Zuckerberg. He issued an investor video trying to explain that it is worth it.
So if you think 5 years out, I think that we're going to reach this point where almost every app that you use is going to be integrated with Facebook in some way.
Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg there. Tell us a little bit about this upcoming IPO.
So, this is really going to grab the news of Wall Street for the next couple of days into next week, when it's expected to make the stock public. People could start buying the stock anywhere from $28 to $35, valuing the company at about $86 billion. Mark Zuckerberg, when this happens, will instantly rocket to one of the richest people in the world, estimated at maybe more than $17 billion. But for us, for the average investor, for the average person, the big question about Facebook going forward is, does it keep this momentum? Its revenue recently has been slowing. Wall Street has very different objectives than a private company. They want to see quarterly results, and if they don't see it, they punish the stock. So it's really a question of, as they shift from this hip social media company to this large media company like so many others, are they successful? Do they keep the innovation going, or do they start to get bogged down? I don't mean to say the end is near for it, because I have no idea, but there's a lot of questions that are being raised about, is it going to continue to be as successful as it goes forward? It's definitely done very well, but the game can change once it goes public.
Although Mark Zuckerberg says you got to give us 5 years.
But Wall Street doesn't look out to 5 years. They look out to the next quarter.
That's true. Charlie Herman, economics editor for The Takeaway, and our co-producer WNYC Radio, and Kelly Crossley, host of The Kelly Crossley Show on WGBH, Boston Public Radio. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's your agenda.
It's 8:40. You're listening to WDET. Good morning. I'm Pat Batchelor. Traffic is sponsored by the Charles H. Wright Ford Freedom Award Gala. Info at thewright.org. I-75 southbound before the 4th Street Schaefer exit. The road is blocked by a jackknifed semi. We've got an accident on I-75 northbound before Clay. That's blocking the left 2 lanes. Stop and go from I-94. I-94 eastbound after the Southfield, there's an accident blocking the left shoulder. Also an accident on I-94 westbound at Warren. We also have an accident on the Lodge northbound at I-94. Traffic is getting by on the right shoulder in that area. Showers and thunderstorms likely today. We'll have a high of 66. More rain and thunder tonight with a low of 59. And we're expecting scattered thunderstorms again tomorrow with a high of 71. Right now, we've got rain, and it's 51 degrees in Detroit.
WDET is supported by Midtown Detroit, Inc. Located just steps away from the DIA, the shops at the Park Shelton feature vintage goods to custom t-shirts, graphic novels, and gourmet coffee. Local eateries round out the offerings. Info at shopparkshelton.com.
The Greg Foley Show is coming up at 10 o'clock. We'll find out what's on the show in just a little bit, and I'll also ask the question of the day in less than 5 minutes. It's 8:41.
We've been talking about the power of old recordings to evoke a place and a time. One more thought on that whole idea is we remember the guy known as MCA, Adam Yauch, one of the founding Beastie Boys from Brooklyn. He died well before his time, tragically from cancer late last week. The Beastie Boys, the so-called white crossover hip-hop act that sold more than 40 million albums and helped to make hip-hop mainstream.
The first thing I want to know is just what were you guys doing back in second grade, huh?
I picked my nose a lot. I take the girl in front of me, her pigtails to
Actually, me and Peter Parnell and Louis Castro used to beat up a girl named Duwaiwai every day.
Me and David Miller used to build with blocks and then kick them over when the teachers weren't looking and plug wires into the circuit breaker and try and blow out all the lights, usually successfully.
Adam Yauch, Michael Diamond, Adam Horvitz, the Beastie Boys, back in 1986. That's their first interview on public radio. One skeptical and trying to stay in control of the interview host, of all things considered. Yep, that's me.
Why a white rap band?
We like the music. We just have a good time playing it.
We grew up in Manhattan. I mean, when we were going to high school, we were listening to rap music. Eventually, we started to do it ourselves. We happen to be white. Yes, this is true.
Why did the Rolling Stones play the blues? I figured they just liked the music.
You guys have been opening for black acts, right? For Run DMC.
We spent the whole summer doing the Raising Hell tour with Run DMC.
What was that like? Isn't there a moment of skepticism at the beginning when you're out there in a completely black audience?
No, because they usually know our music already from black radio, and they know our music and they like it.
I mean, ironically, it was like over the summer we were getting really frustrated because it looked like we were just only going to be accepted by black radio and by the black audience, and that was going to be it forever.
What turned the tide? What changed that?
What changed it? Putting out Fly Records.
If you hang on the streets of New York, you know that Fly Records are hit records.
Oh my God, hang on the streets of New York, Fly Records. But listen to these young, determined Beastie Boys. They knew where they were headed, very confident in their contrary message in the Nancy Reagan Just Say No 80s.
Trying to show the kids there's an alternative.
And that's partying.
Does that constitute a message? Do you guys want to say something to them?
Hey, yes, we're the kids. And if the kids are united,
They will never
be divided.
Beautiful.
And don't let anybody tell you what to do.
Kids, give your mom hell.
Right.
Wackadoo, Bob McAllister. People to wackadoo, wackadoo.
Kids are people too.
Yes.
Do we really need that message?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And then the moralizing 80s radio host thinks he's gonna put one over on Adam Yauch and the infantile Beastie Boys.
You gotta fight for your right to party!
You know, I kind of get the feeling throughout this whole thing that you really don't want to be my friend. Is that right?
John, babe.
John, we want to work.
We like you for the person who you are. We don't know you, dude.
I've got to actually
Tell us how you